Hello and welcome to Miniature Realms. My name's Stuart. Welcome to what I hope will be a relatively short video. I promised myself I wasn't going to do a video on this until there was some kind of official announcement, and at this stage of recording this there's no announcement whatsoever. It's all rumours and conjecture, but I think it's worth talking about for those of us who are interested in this, so to speak. So the channel started earlier this year, mostly on the back of Warlord Games' American Battles Epic Civil War range, mainly so I could have an outlet to do some videos based around it, and 50% of the channel is probably videos based around that now. So with the rumours and the tidbits of information that are out there in the last few days for a potential epic version of Napoleonics from Warlord, I just couldn't resist doing this video at all, and I really wanted to kind of start a discussion on the channel really. I know a lot of you who are subscribed to this channel have done so for the Epic Battles American Civil War stuff, so I would imagine that many of you may be interested in Epic Battles Napoleonics, or at least have an opinion on it, so I thought this would be the place to start it. So now back to what we don't know officially, I suppose. So in the last couple of weeks or so I've seen sort of increased rumours. I watched the Warlord Games Open Day seminars and a couple of questions were asked, and they were kind of straight batted, if I can get away with using a cricking term, by John Stallard, but someone did mention that someone at Warlord at HQ had let it slip to him when they asked the question, but he deflected it quite well. And then I've heard some rumours and had some information from people I trust and things that would suggest that it was going ahead. And again, I didn't really want to record a video based on just that. I'm not going to name any names and things like that, but I've heard and seen a few things. And I don't really want to be in that kind of clickbaity space. That's not what this video is about. It's really about because I want to talk about this myself, and I was quite excited about it. And because I've covered epic scale so much on the channel, and I intend to do so in the future. And then those of us who are War Games Illustrated Prime members and subscribers, you get the magazine available a few days earlier than it comes through your letterbox in the vault, so you get the digital copy of it. And people started to talk about the last kind of couple of pages. There's an advert in there which shows what's coming up on the next issue. So it's the November issue talking about what's coming up in the December issue. And I'll pop that image on the screen now so you can see it. But basically, it's suggesting that the whole issue in December is about epic Napoleonic battles, so big battles. And then it says they were giving away something epic. So seems very, very interesting to me based on the other things I'd already heard. If we look back to the January issue this year, they gave away a free sprue of the American Civil War epic range with War Games Illustrated. They have a really good relationship with them. You quite often get Warlord sprues on the front. And for me, that's enough. From the things I've heard, which from people that are pretty reliable, things I've seen, little snippets here and there, plus that, I'd bet my house on it that it's coming sooner rather than later, and maybe as a release the same sort of timescales as we saw last year for the American Civil War range. Now, I'm not sure if that artwork that you can see there on the screen is the artwork that Warlord Games Illustrated have chosen put there to represent it, or whether it's something that's maybe the box art, which could very well be used. Who knows? But that's Waterloo based artwork rather than something else. I know a lot of people suggested that maybe if they did Waterloo they would be doubling up on their 28mm range, but I think from a business sense it makes sense. You're maybe more likely to drag new players in with it than you are to drag people with existing massive 28mm armies. I don't know, but Waterloo seems a pretty safe bet, especially if you want to maybe have this on sale in your Amazons, or maybe even some of your kind of high street toy model shops and things. So I can get why they go with Waterloo. I'd personally prefer a Salamanca set or something like that, but that wouldn't make good business sense at all. I know some of the chat on the groups is that people still don't think that's what they're going to do. They think it's going to be something else. I'm pretty sure that this is what's happening, but there's good arguments for doing other ranges. I've talked about it on the show in the past, on the channel in the past. I've talked about American Civil War because they could follow exactly the same kind of setup as they did with American Civil War. One sprue that works both sides. There's chatter about American War of Independence. Again, that would need relatively few amounts of different troops. All of these are good things. And if you watch the seminars from the open day, I think John Stallard even gives American War of Independence as a potential example for the future. You know what? I think we will see more of these. I imagine that American Civil War has done really, really well, and there's no reason for them to use another smaller option. So like an American Civil War, they know it can sell and they can go heavy with the big guns. And maybe as well, if you release too many of the lesser known conflicts and battles and things, the novelty of it will wear off, and then when you do get around to releasing the big one, which would be maybe Waterloo, that you've taken the shine off it a little bit, and people haven't waited. I know I was really tentative about starting 10mm Napoleonics for Peninsular range, and if they'd released American Civil War now, I may have taken the dip and gone with that. So this would stop me spending money elsewhere. So I think it's the right thing to do. Some people will disagree, and that doesn't really matter, I suppose. We'll have our own opinions on it. Referring back to the seminars I've watched on YouTube for the open days, if you haven't watched those already, it's well worth heading over to Warlord Games' YouTube channel and looking at some of those seminars. There's a couple of really good ones with John Stallard that are quite interesting. He even mentions that they have a suggestion box, an idea at HQ, and one of their casters had put a suggestion in for doing epic zombies, which originally he thought was a bit crazy, but then he said, thinking about it, mass hordes of zombies marching across a London or a New York or Paris or something with helicopters and police vans and things, and he said it could be really fun. I suppose visually it would look great. Whether it be something I'd buy into, I don't know. Depends what other projects I've got going on. But so they are clearly talking about other things, but I also think there was a bit of deliberate deflection there and teasing, knowing what's going on. So what do we think we'll get in the box? It'd be quite fun to have a little bit of a guess now what we'll get. Seems a bit silly to kind of wish list, but we'll just call it a bit of fun, and I'd love to see in the comments what you think. There's going to be more sprues needed this time. You can't get away with one single sprue for both sides. I have a feeling that we're going to get maybe 4 in the starter. And this is a pure guess. I've not heard any rumours for this, but I'm thinking maybe a British infantry sprue, a French infantry sprue, and another sprue with British cavalry and artillery, and another sprue with French cavalry and artillery, and there will be officers again like there were with American Civil War. I don't know which sprue they'll go on, but that could be a way of doing it. They may be able to squeeze it all in onto one sprue, but I'm sure that would give you an uneven balance of what you needed in terms of infantry and things. But that would be interesting. Be interested to hear what you guys think. I also wouldn't be surprised if there were more plastic in the range this time, it being something I think they'd feel more confident they could definitely sell, and maybe based on the numbers that they sold in waves 2 and 3 from American Civil War, they would have learnt some lessons on what works and what doesn't, and maybe they would have invested in the tooling and things. It is expensive to get the tooling done to create plastic troops, but that would be interesting. I'd like to see that. If it was in metal, no problem. If it was in the resin, hopefully good. Sometimes it can be a little bit hard to clean up, and that's my only complaint about some of the resin they use. But I'd still buy it, I imagine, because I'd be very excited by all this. I wouldn't mind the waves being spread out a little bit this time. Again, not too worried either way, but last time, and a lot of this was COVID related, I think, but last time it felt like I was ordering and paying for wave 3 before wave 2 had arrived, and I'm not sure that I'd had the original box for more than a few weeks by the time I was paying for wave 2. So it did feel quite congested, but you also didn't want to leave it spread out too long because people need the units to play the bigger games. But I don't know if they've learned any lessons from that. I know it's taken people a long time to paint up their big boxes. I've still got so much to do. I'm starting to see more and more people posting up huge amounts of painted stuff for the American Civil War. So who knows how they'll do it, but there may even be more than 3 waves this time. It might carry on a little bit longer, but yeah, we'll see how it goes. Other than that, I'm really happy for them just to get on with it. The game, Black Powder, is a sandbox. I don't think we need to overly stress about the rules and things too much. Some people will like what they release, some people won't. It's as simple as that. The only thing that I commented on kind of rules wise for the American Civil War release was in their rules booklet, the number of stands they recommended for a regiment, and that it made the recommended amount was 5 for sort of regular and 7 for large, which made the frontages huge, made it larger than they recommend for 28 mils, which for me seemed a little bit strange when you're trying to shrink what is a big box game down to a 6x4 table. And if you watch some of the guys demoing the game, I've watched a video on Tabletop, I think, of at the UK Games Expo, of them demoing it onto the camera, saying that this is designed so it can fit on your kitchen table or onto your normal 6x4. If you still run with the larger frontages, then you really reduce the amount of units you have, so you're not actually really increasing the size of the game as such in terms of numbers of men. But all the demos I've seen also have all been 3 base units and things, and it's been very similar to that when they do videos on their stream on Twitch and things. So and that's up for the community to play around with, really. It's not something that I would be upset about if they stuck to the same format, which is very possible. There's a little bit of a question, I suppose, linked to that around formations, a bit more important than Napoleonics. You want to be able to form square, so if you've got 5 stands, that's a lot of troops forming square. If you've only got 3 stands, how do you form a square? Or maybe it just won't look so much like a square, so probably visually in some ways it'd be nicer if the bases weren't 60 by 20 or 60 by 30 mil, 20 mil as they were with the American Civil War, because again you can form a nice square out of 4 of them, but again 4 of those stands is still a hefty frontage. But again, things that you can play with, organise with your friends. These aren't things you need to overly worry about. As I said, do what you want with your own models, rebase them however you want. People have been cutting the strips into half and doing all kinds of cool things, and I'll make my own decision about that when I get my hands on it. I suppose it will also be interesting to see whether they have learned anything from the pricing. They say it all sold pretty well. I bought most of it apart from sort of limbers and wagons. They seem a little bit too expensive. I don't see the price of those changing for Napoleonics. They seem to be things that people don't buy as much, so they need to make their money back on them. Would I question skirmish troops costing as much as they did for American Civil War? Maybe, but if it's the 95th and they're beautiful sculpts, am I going to want to buy it anyway? Maybe, probably yes, to be honest with you. But I'd like to see those maybe packaged in a slightly different way, or a little bit cheaper, because they didn't compare very well to the Wave 2 prices per model, so to speak. But again, a lot of people will get very angry about that, I'm sure. I'm not. I'm just interested to see what happens. So anyway, let's get towards the end of the video now. Thank you for watching. As I said at the top, this isn't designed to be a clickbaity kind of, it's out there, announcement video, wow. It's designed to kind of start a discussion for you guys, my subscribers, really, because I know so many of you are here for Black Powder or American Civil War or epic scale, and probably should have some kind of interest or opinion on this, and I'm excited and I want to talk about it. I've had some lovely chats with you guys in the comments on my videos, so I thought, let's put a video out there, let's start talking about it, and maybe by the time I've edited the video and put it out, there will be some even more information, who knows. But please do let me know what you think. What will you buy, what won't you buy, what would put you off, what do you really hope to see? Keep it friendly, keep it nice. Like I said in the video, I don't think anything is insurmountable. If you don't like the way they've set out the rules, you think there's too many stands, you'll just adjust it. And the way the community's already come to a bit of a consensus about the size of regiments for American Civil War, I'm sure that will happen fairly quickly for epic Napoleonics players. So yeah, and the channel moving forward, I've got a hobby vlog video coming out soon. It's already recorded, actually, and that talks a little bit about my plans for next year, and it's kind of taken into account this release. So at the moment I've got a few projects on the go. Ideally I'd be ignoring epic battles Napoleonics until I've finished all my American Civil War stuff. The reality is I'm not going to be able to. It excites me too much. If I could choose between one or the other, they were both on sale at the same time, I would have bought them both, but I would have picked Napoleonics first. Doesn't mean American Civil War stuff's going to finish. I'm going to carry on doing that alongside Napoleonics and some black powder, bolt action. They're going to be the kind of the three cores of the videos on the channel, really, and I'll save most of my Middle Earth stuff for my Out of the Frying Pan podcast stuff. But anyway, so if you're here only for American Civil War, don't worry, it's definitely not going away. I'm going to keep chipping along at the same time, but there will be inevitably release videos and things as and when I get the stuff. And if you're here for Napoleonics, it will be hitting the channel in a big way. There'll be lots of painting tutorials in the same vein as what I've done for the epic battle stuff, lots of unboxings as I buy things, reviews on the miniatures, my thoughts on things. So if you're here for that kind of stuff, then great. And eventually down the line there will be some battle reports for all of those systems I've been talking about. So anyway, thanks very much for taking the time to watch this. Please do like, share and subscribe and all of that jazz, and I will catch you soon.